Hello and welcome. This is Darius Barazandeh, host of the U.S. Revolution. And if you're about to watch this amazing session that we did, then you're part of a group of humans on this planet who are ascending and moving into a higher frequency. You're not here by accident, and I'd like to offer you a special gift that will help you to adjust to some of these frequencies, plug in even deeper, and it's an energy activation MP3 that will double the power of your energy field in less than 57 seconds. It's absolutely free, and it's the first link in the description down below, but it's also going to let you get to hear calls like this one live and get daily help from healers, teachers, and masters all over the world. It's absolutely free, and it's part of what we're doing every day at U-Auth Revolution. So if you feel called in your heart, you can click the link down below, and the special session that you wanted to watch and experience will start right now.
How did a formerly trained neurobiologist at Yale University begin to channel Acrturian energies?
Yeah, it's a really interesting story, and I'll try to kind of keep it concise. I'm sure we all have the long version of the stories, but to keep it kind of in a concise, packed way, I think the line was that I was always interested in healing. I think that was the main thread, and I had pretty much since high school and college was on more a biomedical track. And that started out at Stanford. But I also, was already exploring this, I guess, alternate purpose or track, in the sense that besides majoring in what they call it human biology at Stanford, there was a track that I did a double major in called religious studies and philosophy. And that was really just as an outlet to study more aspects of consciousness and world religions and symbology and more inner aspects. So I was continuing sort of the more traditional role, going into neuroscience as a Ph.D. But right after I finished my Ph.D. that's when I really started to start studying with healers. And I remember the first teacher I had was actually from Siberia, and was a very advanced, Russian psychic, who influenced me, even to this day, even though we, probably worked together for one-on-one for about 6 months, and that was about all. But he really initiated me into the energy world, which I think has even a large implication in some of these more recent experiences that we'll probably talk about later in the call. But to kind of sort of wrap, how it kind of went from there to doing what I'm doing right now with the Acrturian healing method and sort of interdimensional contact is after my postdoc, I continued to study various healing modalities, particularly shamanic practices, and then went into full-time healing. And I really just got the message that I was connected with these spiritual and interdimensional beings called Acrturians. And I took about 8 years to explore that, particularly with shamanic journeying and a number of other modalities, which we can kind of unpack or talk about. And that's how I sort of went from the science role to a more, I guess, interpersonal role. And I think in many ways they're related, but perhaps with a different paradigm. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's really an astounding story. For people that are not familiar with the Acrturians at all and say, okay, you keep mentioning this word, who are you talking about? What are you talking about? And how can this help me? Let's talk about with the who and what, for those that may not be aware. Who are the Acrturians and what are they doing?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's like a fascinating question. So just to back up a little on the details of the story that kind of help with that, with the answer to that, is while I was doing this healing training, I was still actually a postdoc. I did get the message, like an internal voice, which I had been following like as an intuitive guidance for years before that, that just one day it just said I was Acrturian. And I didn't even remember, just like you're saying to some of the listeners that might be completely new, I didn't even
Yeah.
know where that word had come from at that moment.
Hmm.
So I had to like go back and try to recall where I even had read or heard that. And I realized that I had read a book by Joshua David Stone, which some people might know as a very pretty famous ascension writer. He already passed from his physical body. But I had read a book right before I started graduate school, and that was like 8 years prior to this experience, where it wasn't even what I was interested in. I was interested in more the, I guess, spiritual concepts, where he did mention like enlightened ultra-terrestrials or extraterrestrials, and he named a number of them like Pleiadians, Arcturians, Andromedans. So it totally wasn't of my interest, so it kind of just passed my consciousness. But I realized that that's where I heard that word. And so it took me about 8 years, particularly with the shamanic training, that helped me to unpack what that connection really meant.
Mm.
And I think, for shamanism was helpful to me in terms, I studied with primarily with the Foundation for Shamanic Studies, only because it gave tools to explore alternate states of consciousness and alternate realities directly. And there's many other ways to do it, but the journey process, shamanic journeying, helped me to sort of journey to spiritual beings, and in particular the Arcturians. And people who do shamanic practices will may be familiar with working with helping spirits in their healing practice. And that was exactly how I saw the Acrturians, basically helping spirits in other dimensions who I could journey to and kind of receive direct, in an altered state of consciousness, direct communication with, and really discern for myself what this connection was, what the information was, and what was helpful, and really evaluate it over time. So
why are
so
they
basically
helping? One of the things I think a lot of people wonder is like, why? What are they trying to do? And gosh, there's so many questions. I guess we'll start with the why. Like, what's the reason?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because someone mentioned to me after I had done the Acrturian healing method for a while that Edgar Cayce, the famous American psychic, had done a number of readings about the Acrturians and mentioned that, and I wasn't even aware of this, that they were first very advanced and that they had some of the most advanced healing technology, spiritual healing technology, and that they were here to benefit the planet. And that was not even I didn't know about that resource. So my own connection with them and communication with them is really in line with that. I received kind of similar messages, and that's why it came out as a healing modality of all things, through me or through my connection with them. So I think they're advanced. Their consciousness seems to be, if it's not in unity consciousness, very close. I don't think they need a physical vehicle, like a physical body. I see them more at the level of what's called above the mental plane, like what's called the causal plane in the model I use. Like it's called a karmic body. And they are here to benefit humanity, almost like, I don't know if elder brother, sister is the right term, but a little bit like they benefit when we benefit because they're at a unity state of consciousness. So they realize we're all interconnected. So I think that's what they're here. They're really just here to help us because it helps them because they realize our interconnection.
What have you seen happen? We're going to talk about some interesting things today, including contact you recently made with some light beings from perhaps another dimension or galaxy. But in terms of practical things that people are experiencing when they receive these Acrturian transmissions, what's happening to people that receive them? What are you seeing as some of the successes that people really tend to experience and enjoy?
Yeah, well, I know you read one of those, one of the kind of responses from a person who had come to the class, and that was more physical related in terms of I think her knee. So I have seen really quite dramatic physical healings. that's not the only realm in which the frequencies work from the Acrturians. But like one person came to just for like one healing by distance. She lived in Chicago, and I didn't know that this was the diagnosis, but it was acute thyroiditis, and she was just talking about really heavy fatigue and nausea. So I just did the session. We didn't go into more than that for about an hour, and we kind of left it at that. What was interesting is she contacted me, said that it was an amazing healing, or she really recovered. But then about 3 weeks later, her physician, her allopathic physician, actually emailed me because he was astounded by the results, and then he told me what the actual diagnosis was, which I had no idea about, and he was even interested in a session. So it can be quite traumatic like that. The frequencies also, though, they work on, directly on the more etheric and higher planes, like astral plane and these higher interdimensional planes first. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people who come, get affected for kind of this, what I call rapid consciousness acceleration or development. Maybe it's on a more spiritual level, and, that can affect their emotional, mental, and physical bodies. But it really opens you up, I think, to other realities directly. So I think that's, kind of a deeper effect of being exposed to the frequencies.
Hello and welcome. This is Darius Barazandeh, host of the Wealth Revolution. And if you enjoyed that snippet of one of our interviews, I'd invite you to just scroll down for 1 second and click the link down below. You're going to get access not only to a free gift that's going to double the power of your energy field in just 57 seconds, you're also going to get to be a part of the Wealth Revolution and listen to interviews just like the ones you heard that are happening live right now, daily, where I interview some of the top healers, teachers, and masters in the field of energy transformation, energy healing, consciousness ascension, and more. Plus, you're going to get to be on live calls where you'll get your questions answered, you'll get to submit them via webcast, you'll even get to be one-on-one live on the phone and get energy healing help daily. It's all part of what we've been doing. So get up to date, click the link, join, and be a part of it. And if you enjoyed this video or you'd like to see more of it, click the like button or subscribe. I always upload new content and I give weekly energy updates. So please let us know how we can serve you. And thanks for watching and being in my life. Much love.